Now, I'm sure many of you probably already know about this one. This is from the brand Lattafa. This is called Asad. This is an inexpensive version of Sauvage Elixir by Christian Dior, which we know is quite expensive. If you're going for a 2-ounce bottle, I think it's like $150. In any case, I'm going to let you know about this inexpensive alternative. I'll tell you if I think it's great enough to purchase it in place of Sauvage Elixir, so make sure to stay tuned. Before I begin today's episode and I give you my thoughts on Asad by Lattafa, I'll tell you about the notes, performance, comparisons, how close I think it is to Sauvage Elixir. But before I start today's video, I do want to mention that if you're a fan of fragrance-related content, hit the subscribe button, hit the bell, and also give this video a thumbs up if you love smelling your best. Here we have an alternative to Sauvage Elixir, which I have off my right shoulder there, and I actually had that be my scent of the day yesterday, and I wore this for like a week straight. I didn't wear anything else. I woke up and I sprayed on Asad. Of course, you look at the note breakdown, there's black pepper, coffee, patchouli, vanilla, amber. You do have some spices in there, a touch of tobacco in the opening as well, and of course that characteristic pineapple note. Now, of course, when you take a look at Dior Sauvage Elixir, you have nutmeg, you have licorice, so it seems like the spices are a little bit different. And I personally find that the spices are a little bit more heavy-handed in Sauvage Elixir than they are in Asad. Nevertheless, I'm going to be telling you about the smell in just a little while. Let's start things off with a quick look at the presentation first. So right in the opening of this fragrance, you are going to get this smooth tobacco vibe. Now, it's not a moist, sort of a juicy cherry flavored tobacco. It's not, and it's funny because there's vanilla in here, but it's not that vanilla heavy tobacco that you get in something like Tobacco Vanille by Tom Ford. This one is kind of like a fresh fruity tobacco, if that makes sense. And fruity not in that sticky, syrupy, viscous way, but in a very bright, tart way. And it could be on account of that sort of a grapefruit, pineapple opening, because the pineapple in here, it's really nice, fresh, refreshing to an extent, but this is very smooth, sophisticated. It does lend the fragrance an air of maturity. So this is the type of fragrance that, of course, all things considered, I would like to wear in an office scenario, dressed up, professional, suit and tie, so on and so forth. I think that would be the most appropriate occasion for this fragrance. But of course, you also do have that earthiness underneath. Now, it's funny because in this fragrance, we have patchouli. In Sauvage Elixir, we have vetiver. So maybe it's the vetiver making it a little bit heavy-handed or a little bit more on the aggressive, for lack of a better side of things. But if I'm being honest with you, I find that this one is a bit smoother than Sauvage Elixir. I find that Sauvage Elixir opens up a little bit more aggressively on account of the spices, whereas this one, it has the smooth tobacco, and I almost thought I was smelling cardamom. Like, it opens up with a really smooth, spicy element, and I wouldn't have guessed that it would be black pepper, because I do get the black pepper in Sauvage Eau de Toilette, and I always said that I think it's a combination of the black pepper and the ambroxan that contributes to that staticky appeal, right? Where it also kind of reminds me of like television snow, you know? But this one is actually rather smooth. Do I think it's a clone of Sauvage Elixir? No, I don't. Do I think it's a twist of Sauvage Elixir? I do. What's the difference? A lot of times brands will say, we want our version of this fragrance, but can you make it more XYZ? So can you make it smoother? Can you make it sweeter? Can you make it juicier? So I think Lattafa took that Sauvage Elixir DNA and kind of did its own thing with it, which I think it's admirable to an extent. But of course, I think if I were to put a percentage on it, I think it's like 90% similar to Sauvage Elixir. So I don't think it's 100% of the way there. And I appreciate that. Do I think it's redundant to own both? I do. I think that they can be worn for the same seasons, same occasions, although I will admit, I find that the performance of Sauvage Elixir is a little bit better, but all things considered, for the price that you're paying for this one and the size for the price, I think this one is fantastic. So I purchased my bottle on Amazon, and it was something between like 30 and 40 bucks. So it's certainly on the inexpensive side of things, considering the smell, considering the fragrance to which it's being compared, and considering the size and even the presentation. Like, beautiful presentation. I don't know if this happens to anybody else's bottle, but this comes out and I guess it could kind of be like a bangle or a bracelet or something like that. But nevertheless, I think the presentation is really cool, and the distribution on the atomizer, you see, it's happening again, is really good. So it's hard to beat the quality for this one, basically. In any case, I think it's wonderful. I'm glad I purchased it. Let's go ahead and finish things off with my overall assessment. Now, first up, in terms of the uniqueness and the overall smell, so it does smell quite similar to Sauvage Elixir, but of course we can also, under that same breath, say it smells similar to Gisada Ambassador. We can say it smells similar to Apex by Roja Parfum. There's been a lot of fragrances that have come out over the past few years that have kind of utilized that DNA. Longevity on this one is about 6 hours on skin, I want to say, on a good day, whereas with Sauvage Elixir I do get upwards of like 9 or 10. So Sauvage Elixir gives me better longevity for sure. Projection on this one is very good. It's actually quite bright in the opening on account of the pineapple and the freshness. So I would say this one probably lasts or projects about an arm's length for about an hour, and then it becomes an elbow's length scent right around hour 4, a skin scent right around hour 6. Versatility on this one, masculine leaning, great for formal scenarios. I prefer to wear this one in probably every season except for the summertime. I think on account of the spices, the tobacco, the patchouli, the amber, the vanilla, all of these heavy ingredients, they might be a little bit too much for somebody in the summertime. And I think this one will probably appeal to an older demographic, but at the end of the day, it's all a matter of personal taste. And as far as the presentation is concerned, I love the presentation. Lattafa presentations are actually very, very nice. I have Amir Al Oud. I have Kamra. I have a number of Lattafa fragrances, and they all come in a beautiful presentation. My final verdict on this one is, if you're looking for a fragrance that is less spicy than Sauvage Elixir, performance not as good, but highly inexpensive, great presentation, great price, please check out Lattafa Asad. I'm going to drop all of the links down below. This is not a sponsored video. Just want to make things convenient for you all. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed today's review. If you did, please do consider supporting the channel by subscribing to it. Hit the bell and also give this video a thumbs up for the YouTube algorithm. Thanks again for watching. I love you all, and we'll see you tomorrow with a new episode. Bye.